Now at 5. Plus,
a beloved former mayor of Scranton has died. We'll relive the legacy and life of Jimmy Connors.
covering Eastern Pennsylvania. Eyewitness News at 5 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Toma.
I'm Candace Kelly. Thank you for joining us.
We have some sad news for you tonight. Jimmy Connors, the longtime mayor who helped lead the revitalization of downtown Scranton, has died. Connors was 77.
2822 News reporter Catherine O'Leary joins us now live from Scranton with more about the life and legacy of him.
Nick and Candace, good evening. Many people in the city of Scranton are mourning the loss of a life of a man who dedicated his life to public service. Former Mayor James Connors led the city of Scranton from 1990 to 2002. Jimmy Connors, a name the people of Scranton will never forget. Connors began his career in public service in the 70s, working in the schools and local organizations. He served as Scranton's mayor for 12 years starting in 1990 and continued his public service as the deputy director of Governor Ed Rendell's NEPA's office until his retirement in 2009. Though Connors was retired, he continued to be involved in the community as much as possible, touching many lives. In a statement, current Scranton Mayor Cognetti says, quote, "Mayor Connors cherished Scranton and cared passionately about the well-being of our residents. He'll live on in Scranton as the mayor, and we will deeply miss him. Our hearts are with his wife, Susie, his children, and his entire family." Congressman Matt Cartwright shared his sorrow over the loss of Connors, stating, "The lights in the Electric City just got a little bit dimmer with the passing of Scranton Mayor James Connors. He will be forever missed, but never forgotten." Jimmy Connors was more than a mayor. He was a husband, father, and a dear friend loved by many.
They'll be talking about Jimmy Connors for years to come because he was so popular in this area. Everybody loved Jimmy Connors. Democrat, Republican, it didn't matter in politics. They just loved the man. Jimmy Connors stay in my heart for the rest of my life.
Doug Smith, another close friend of the former mayor, reflects on the kind of person Connors was and the impact he had on those around him.
He was very genuine. He was never phony. Jimmy was Jimmy. He really knew how to be a friend. You know, he absolutely did not take that lightly. You know, if you were his friend, you were his friend for life. And he would do anything for you that he could. And he was just such a role model, really, as being a person.
Smith shared his thoughts on how Connors would like to be remembered.
I think Jimmy would want to be remembered by all the good things he did to help people, because he really always wanted to help people, whether it was someone who was just having a problem on the street, all the way up to someone who was trying to complete a huge mall project.
And Jimmy Connors will be deeply missed throughout the community. To read the full statement from Mayor Cognetti, Congressman Cartwright, and the Lackawanna County Commissioners, you could find those at pahomepage.com. Reporting live in Scranton, Catherine O'Leary, 2822 News. Back to you.
Thank you, Kat. And we're continuing our hunger for
tragic passing of a dear friend to you. Just give me some insight.
This was a tragic passing of Jimmy Connors. I love Jimmy Connors. We went to college together in the 60s. We were inseparable then. In the 70s, when after I got out of the Army, I started law school in 71. He drove from Scranton here all the way to New Orleans University, New Orleans, Louisiana, at Loyola University to visit me. He stayed there for a week with his daughter. Now that he drove in the car 1,200 miles just to visit me. That's the kind of friend I had. And ever since then, Jimmy and I have been inseparable. We're inseparable. He's been on, I do a show on Channel 28 called Veterans Views. Jimmy's been on my show a few times. He watches the show every night. He's just one of the best friends I ever had in my life. And as a mayor, when he was mayor, we were inseparable then too. I followed him all around when he was a mayor. I was a lawyer, I wasn't a judge, and I followed him all around, and I was so proud of the fact that he was a mayor. What a great man. And they'll be talking about Jimmy Connors for years to come because he was so popular in this area. Everybody loved Jimmy Connors. Democrat, Republican, it didn't matter in politics. They just loved the man.
Wow. So yeah, you guys have been friends for a really long time, right?
Jimmy Connors, I've been friends since we're 18. No, I would say we're friends since we're 9 or 10 years old, because I used to go to his uncle's house in Manuka, and he used to come over and we used to play together. So,
What's your favorite memory of him? Is it when he came to come see you in New Orleans?
my favorite memory of him, yes, you're right. That's a great question. My favorite memory is to think that he would drive with his daughter. She was a little girl about 4 years old, 3 years old, all the way to New Orleans, Louisiana, to Loyola University to visit me, just so I wasn't too lonely. I mean, who does that? That's amazing. And by the way, on his way home, his car broke down. He had to take because he had an old car. It broke down and he had to take a bus the rest of the way home. True story.
Awesome.
Jimmy Connors, stay in my heart for the rest of my life.
And he came up, well, before he was the mayor, because he was a big jazz fan. He loved jazz, loved music, just couldn't. And he supported all the jazz musicians. He was close friends with Phil Woods and Al Cohn. But I can't remember where I was performing. It may have been at the Lucan Center over at St. Luke's. We were doing a jazz concert, and he came up and said how much he enjoyed it. And that's probably when I very first met him. And then we became close personal friends after that for many, many years.
Yeah, absolutely. So then just, I was asking Judge Munley, tell me your favorite memory of him that you have, whether it involves you or something he did that he told you.
Well, it's hard to pick one. He had such a wonderful sense of humor. I'm sure you know him to some extent, right? And even though he would tell the same jokes over and over, people would they didn't care. They just wanted to hear them, But one of my most fondest memories, and it was a humorous thing, was for almost 10 years we did a music festival, which was over a week long at Nayog Park, near where CMC is now, Geisinger. And that was through the city. Jimmy arranged, we worked that all out. Susie's wife and Jimmy started it as a weekend thing, and then it wound up being a whole for almost 10 years. So one of my most favorite memories, of course, he would be up there every night. And we had rides, Montana Brothers, we had rides right in the middle of the park, which was really cool because the Ferris wheel would go right up into the tree, into the leaves and everything. It was really neat. And he said one time, he said, well, my political opponents would like nothing better than to see this Ferris wheel break and go rolling down Mulberry Street all the way into the city. It was just a unique, humorous thing that, but I have so many memories, so many close, family memories and everything too. But one of the things I learned from him so well is even when he was mayor for I guess 3 terms, he would never forget to acknowledge or thank anyone. Like if there was an event or a building or one of the venues where we were playing, he wouldn't just thank the people that put it on or owned it or the musicians. He would always make sure to thank the servers and the people that cleared the tables. And he was just such a really wonderful human being, person to person. He was really just a great human being.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you about that now. Talk to me a little about him as a person, not just as a mayor, but as your friend, as a husband, as an uncle, as who he was.
Well, I became very close to the family through Jimmy's sister Tina, who has sadly passed away. So his sons, Zach and David, are technically adopted by Jimmy and Susie, and I kind of remained kind of an uncle, to the boys, and so that gave so much to my life. I have one daughter, Melody, and it added a whole nother part to my life. It was just so wonderful to have the closeness with his family and with the 2 boys. It just really added so much to my life.
Absolutely. Like you were saying before, he was just a genuine person, always thanking people. Everyone around Scranton knew who he was. I was born just a year after he had stopped being mayor, and I still knew who who he was. That was the type of person. Everyone just knew who he was, right?
Yeah, he was very real. I mean, what you saw, whether he was doing an interview with you or just speaking with people that he had never met, was very genuine. He was never phony. Jimmy was Jimmy. And someone just said, we were just back at the house, and somebody said he really knew how to be a friend. You know, he absolutely did not take that lightly. You know, if you were his friend, you were his friend for life. And he would do anything for you that he could. And he was just such a role model, really, as being a person, as being a human being.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's a lot that goes into it, but if you could think of just a couple of things that you're just already missing the most about him.
Well, if I'll try to say it without being too
okay.
emotional, but so I'm a professional musician. I'm 77. I played since I was in high school, so it's quite a while. And so that's my life, and that was Jimmy's other life. He was on the receiving end of it and supporting musicians and how much he enjoyed it. But he, I'm sorry, what was the final thing you just asked?
Oh,
me?
just something you'll really miss the most about
Oh,
him.
that I missed the most.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we performed this past Sunday, just a few days ago, at Nayout Park, and Jimmy Connors was there, and he announced our band on. He knew all the musicians' names. He told a couple jokes. He said how happy he was to have these programs continue at the park, and actually we're going to perform there with a different group this evening, Wednesday, at 6 o'clock, and it'll be really. There will really be an emptiness because he won't be there, you know. So I'm sure we'll dedicate this evening to him, and but you know, there's just an emptiness when you miss somebody. I mean, it's just something that really can't be changed, but you have to learn to live with.
Absolutely, yeah, I know. Right? My father died when I was 17, and
Oh,
like you said, it's just there's always going to be that emptiness there.
Yeah.
What would you like to see his legacy live on as? What would be something, if you can name anything?
Well, because of my connection with the mayor in music, of course, we want to see. I mean, his legacy is already living on. Right now at all the concerts we do at all the different city parks. In fact, we're going to do one program at Connors Park, which is great that's named his name in Southside. In July, Paulette Costa is going to perform with her 50s band, and I don't have the date in front of me, but that will certainly be dedicated to him now. I mean, just the people say, "Oh, Jimmy's the forever mayor." Everyone still knows him, and so his legacy will always live on. And I would say, especially through music, and also through all the true friends that he met, not just acquaintances from being the mayor, but he probably has the most amount of real friends than anybody that I know.
Absolutely. What do you think? I mean, you're saying just the way he is in music and everything. What do you think he would want to be remembered by?
What do you think that he would want to be remembered by? Let me just think a minute. I mean, other than the music, you mean, or?
It could be music. It could be anything at all.
Well, I think Jimmy would want to be remembered by all the good things he did to help people, because he really always wanted to help people, whether it was someone who was just having a problem on the street, all the way up to someone who was trying to complete a huge mall project, which he did. I mean, obviously many people were involved in that, but he's the one that finally got it over the hump. And I think his person-to-person connections and all his friends, other than the music legacy and what he's done to support that, would be what he would want to be remembered for.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything I didn't get to?
I don't know.
Something I didn't touch on you'd like to mention?
I mean, there's so much, but I think you did a good job, getting me to. I'm sure as soon as I walk out the door.
You'll remember a bunch of things. Yeah, no, that always happens.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, especially today. I know it's all fresh, and again,
Sure.
I'm so sorry for
Oh,
your loss.
you're very welcome. I could say one more thing.
Go for
This
it.
might not even be. Jimmy had no problem traveling a lot to hear good jazz, and he was a weekly visitor to the Deerhead Inn at the Delaware Water Gap, and close friends with many of the musicians there. Bob DeRoe, who wrote all the Schoolhouse Rock songs, who's not with us anymore, and as I mentioned before, Phil Woods, John Coates. There were just so many musicians that he was close with, and he helped. He would always help them and support them in any way that he could.
He was just a guy. He just liked to help people, and he
Yeah,
just loved everything.
Yeah. And you knew him, so
Yeah. Oh my gosh! The last time I saw him the other day, they were doing the Holocaust exposition over at the hotel, and I was standing there. Everyone was eating lunch. I didn't want to start pulling people aside. So he just came right up to me. He was like, "This lady right here, she has this story and this story and this story. I'm gonna bring her over for you. And then we have this one. You have to go talk to her too." He was fantastic.
He's like the MC. He's like the party coordinator.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Whatever,
He was awesome. It was so helpful for me. I was so
Yeah.
grateful because I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what I was doing.
He was helping you, and he just enjoyed that so much, Yeah.